Okay, this is July 29th, 2022 here in Kitchener, Ontario, Zone 5. In this video we're going to talk about this soil comparison experiment. This is a late update on this. It has been 36 days since sowing the seeds for this experiment, and there's some things we can talk about here. So I haven't weeded this at all. So part of the experiment is to see in the different soil mixes what kind of weeds came up. I should say, first of all, there's been some problems here with the experiment. So somewhat, you know, it's not that the results are bad or good. That's not the failure. The failure is that some animal has disrupted the experiment, and another failure is that the squash didn't really come up. But anyway, let's take a look. So in this back row here, we have these grow bags. I think they are 3-gallon grow bags. And so we have compost, pure compost. We have pure Pro Mix with a little bit of Miracle Grow slow release fertilizer. We have, this one is straight dirt, just topsoil from my yard. And this is my old container mix. So if we look at these in detail, the pure compost, very few weeds. It was hard to keep this watered. This dried out pretty fast. So we've just got this one. This is a terrible weed. I'm going to weed as we go here. This is spurge. It's a terrible weed. Hate it. So that tenacious monster came up easily from my compost. I don't know what that is. Out of the compost only came up 2 of the radishes. These would have, all of these were planted with a pattern of 3 radishes and a squash, and actually 2 squash, which I would plan to thin to 1. The squash did not come up here. Okay, so compost, the squash, I think they were bad squash seeds. The squash really didn't come up anywhere, or so I thought. There's one that came up just the other day. But anyway, 2 radishes, they look pretty poor, right? They don't look good. On day 36, there's almost nothing there, and there's absolutely nothing there. So 2 feeble radishes in the compost, pure compost. In the pure Pro Mix, again, no squash, absolutely no weeds, so that's as expected. Only these 2, actually all of these, a few radishes came up in all of these, and I thinned down to this many, so nothing at all there, right? No bulb at all there. And, you know, whatever, no bulb at all there. So nothing in the pure Pro Mix. Very poor result for both the pure compost and the pure Pro Mix. And we really have nothing to look at for the squash. Now here in the dirt, lots of weeds. So what are we looking at? This is catmint, I think. There's more spurge, we have wood sorrel, more spurge over here, spurge again, little one. But look, here we've got a squash coming up. So doesn't look very happy. But anyway, finally at the end here we got a one squash coming up. What more weeds have we got in here? I don't know what kind of weed that is. But anyway, look at these radishes. So this is in just the straight dirt, just straight topsoil. And that's a really good radish. That's a pretty good one. And, you know, that one's not great. But pretty good in the pure dirt. But also notice, you know, lots of these weeds in the pure dirt. And then we have my old mix. And it looks like in the old mix, after the rodents and things disrupted the experiment, I only have the one surviving radish here, but it's a good one. That looks like a pretty decent one. And of course we've got lots of weeds. We've got the wood sorrel, we've got I don't know what that is. Is that you know, I almost want to guess that that's Swiss chard, but I don't think it is. I think that's just some kind of weed. I don't know what that is. But these are all just weeds, and so that's the old mix. And again, no squash in the old mix. So interesting result here. I think The old mix is pretty good. It's too bad that the rodents stole some of the plants. You can see there's a dead one down there. So the squirrels have gotten bold and gotten in under this. Even though I had them covered, the squirrels got in here. It wasn't perfectly sealed, but the dirt did great. So that's interesting. The dirt did really great. In the future, I'm just gonna grow my radishes in dirt. Now it's been super dry out here. I've had to come out and water these frequently, every day, give them a splash. It really hasn't rained, but these are sort of in a very shady spot. They're in the shade right now. They've been situated under the shade of this maple, so they barely get a blast of sun in the morning, just a little bit, and then a pretty good blast of sun in the afternoon. But they maybe get 2 hours of direct sun, the equivalent of 2 direct hours of sun a day, and these radishes have not bolted in the total drought and heat that we've been having. Okay, let's move on to the combination mixes. In this front row, we did combinations of some of my mixes. Here we have just straight as a control, and to tie the experiments together, we have the old mix. And if we look, we can see again it made a pretty nice radish. Now that's the only surviving radish in this container because something stole all the other radishes. You can see again with the old mix, lots of weeds here. This is lots of wood sorrel. This container was also planted, all of these were also planted with tomatoes. So we have 2 tomatoes have come up here, and this one's looking pretty nice. Okay, this is the Blue Beauty tomato. Get a better angle on it here. It's looking pretty good. We got that one there. There was 4 seeds in here. 2 have germinated. We also planted in here, if I can kind of dig them out, beets. But look, all the leaves have been taken. So something has just recently, in the past couple days, gone berserk on my beets. They destroyed all my beets in the ground, or all the good ones anyway. And it looks like they've gone for the beet leaves here. So I'm really having a lot of pest pressure in my yard this year. Beets again on this side. So they germinated pretty good, but how can we compare their growth when something has come in and completely shaved them down at the level of the netting? Moving on, so that's the old mix. This is the Pro Mix, I believe, plus dirt, is that right? Yeah, Pro Mix plus dirt. And we have 2 tomatoes, much smaller than this star tomato here in the old mix. So these 2 small tomatoes here. We've got a couple weeds, again the spurge, get that out of there, we hate it. Just this one radish to look at, because again this the experiment got spoiled. We've got these beets that have all been snipped at the top, so something ruined all these beets, but they did come up in the Pro Mix plus dirt. But definitely this is not, I don't know if we can say anything really about this other than that the tomatoes are not as good in the Pro Mix plus dirt. Here we have Pro Mix plus compost, I think. Yeah, Pro Mix plus compost. Poor performance on the radishes. So is that wait, where's the other radish? There's the other radish. So poor. And if we think that, why would Pro Mix plus compost do a good job when Pro Mix did a terrible job and compost did a terrible job? So Pro Mix plus compost, I guess this did the best job, but these are not good radishes. These beets are good. Look how well these beets have survived whatever was attacking. So the beets seem to like the Pro Mix plus compost. Right over here, pretty good, healthy beets. And 3 of the tomatoes came up, and one of them is looking half decent, and 2 of them are looking kind of runty. But not as good as the old mix for the tomato. And then finally we come to compost plus dirt, I guess. Yeah, compost plus dirt. And we've got a half decent, it's not really a half decent radish, but that's an okay looking radish. I guess that's because the dirt is good for radish. We have a few weeds. There's some kind of grass, and we have 3 tomatoes. And actually, look at this one's looking pretty good. That one's sort of a rival of the best one in the old mix. Actually, all 3 of these look pretty good. And for the beets, we've got some destroyed beets here. They did come up. They were doing pretty good, and then something ruined them. They should all look like this. Right? There's one that has escaped the ruin. And so I think, what do we conclude from this? Well, the straight compost is definitely bad for radishes. The straight pro mix is definitely bad for radishes. The straight dirt is great for radishes. And actually my old mix is pretty good for radishes. And because these are good for radishes, they've got also a lot of seed bank in them, and so I just got to keep them weeded. And then as far as the combinations, really my old mix is the best of these. So these have all done more poorly, I would say, than just the old mix. And maybe that shouldn't be a surprise. I don't know. I kind of thought my old mix was getting a little tired. It's been used for many, many years. I didn't really renew it. Prior to this experiment, I didn't renew it with anything. But it looks like just years of adding all kinds of stuff to it, peat moss and bagged, grow medium and manures and just all kinds of stuff. Arborist chips, leaf mold. I guess this old mix is pretty good. So I'm going to get this weeded, and we're going to I'm actually going to harvest these radishes because they look pretty good. And I think we need to give up on the beets because those didn't really pan out. I think if there's any good beets, I'll let them ride in the pot. I guess we had this example was a pretty good one. I'm afraid that whatever's been stealing my beets is going to just come in and ruin. But I think we're going to keep following the tomato trial. So I'll select out the best tomato out of each of these, and there is a clear winner out of each of these. And we'll let this keep going as a tomato trial. Anyway, that's the long-winded soil comparison update. See you in the next one.